Oh, good morning. Live from Lanark Loch. Here we are, Monday morning, beginning of a new week, moving towards 14 days of lockdown, and how 14 days ago, good morning Marty Lee. So here we are, 14 days into lockdown, and lots of us getting forced into feelings of having to change and start to do things differently. A lot of people are welcoming in that. A lot of people are just habitually getting caught up in behaviours to alleviate the boredom, either distraction or certainly the work I do, which I do accept is focuses in on, it's a spotlight on drugs and alcohol. Good morning Nadia, Linda, Claire, hello everybody. Here we are, Lanark Loch. I don't know what number this is, but luckily I do know it's Monday today. So, fear of change, we've been talking about that, and I thought, are we reacting to our environment or responding to our environment? And one of the things which, the most recent thing which I knew, which I noticed, which happened for myself, was I have been doing some Facebook Live stuff, and that's attracted some attention, and it attracted some attention from someone that I have not heard from for probably, I don't know, a long time, 5 years, maybe 5 years, 6 years, I don't know. And although we're not friends on Facebook in any way, but so they sent me a message through Messenger, which meant that I had to accept the message, respond to the message, or this person's trying to catch you, so it doesn't come into your normal feed. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, when I saw that message come up initially, the very first thing I felt was that little charge in my tummy that we spoke about, which meant I was going into reaction. I had a projection, I had a perception, I had no idea at this point of the content of the message, but it charged me. So had I, now let me just develop a little bit more on that. So if I put that question out to you, if you have had an issue with someone, and you've not seen them for a wee while, or you've not spoke to them for a wee while, and the last time you did it was maybe not conducive, a conducive experience, okay? So when you see a text message come in on your phone, on your screen, what's the first thing that happens to you? Do you feel dead light and open and relaxed, or as I like to say, expansive? Do you feel expansive inside, or do you feel contractive inside? Does your world go tight? Does your inner world go tight? Similarly, you get an email and on the heading it's from HMRC or whatever. How do you take that information? Okay, so as we're looking at change, and I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, right, well, what would be easier for me to learn? How would I find this easier to learn? And so it's starting to become aware of our physicality and our whole being as a holistic body, okay? So human beings, a lot more complicated than this, but I'm being simplistic. We are electrochemical organisms that live in a biochemical bodysuit that inhabits an electromagnetic field. So this is an electromagnetic field. Everything within that field we could call consciousness, we could, whatever. I'm not here to start an argument about that, but there's a field, and everything interconnects, and everything is woven and works together in this field, okay? And how we are responding to that field or reacting to that field, either consciously, subconsciously or unconsciously, is what creates the outcome, okay? So we're an electrochemical organism that lives in a biochemical bodysuit that inhabits this glorious electromagnetic field. Now, this glorious electromagnetic field I like to think of it as a biofeedback mechanism. Biofeedback mechanism, for those that wouldn't understand, I'll give you a simplistic example of that. If you have a modern up-to-date vehicle, it would maybe have a thing called an MFA in it or whatever that would show you your miles per gallon. And if you're watching your money, and the price of fuel in the United Kingdom is extortionate, so you've got your little MPG meter on, and you notice that when you're feathering the accelerator and you're not labouring and you're not going up a hill, you notice that you're getting more miles per gallon, you're being more efficient. And that feedback mechanism, it starts to become a game. It certainly does for me. It's like 44 miles to the gallon, 46 miles to the gallon. You're like, let's get 50 miles to the gallon. But unless I could see that biofeedback mechanism reflecting back to me something, I wouldn't know. Like standing on a set of scales, which I've resisted to do for the last 14 days. And then I would get to know, right, that's the weight I am. And then I would, in my head, I would set a target goal of where I would want to get to. But in order to do that, I would have to measure myself on a daily basis. So this world is a biofeedback mechanism. It's like, am I getting 50 miles to the gallon or am I getting 10 miles to the gallon? So on that note, just go into your imagination. Imagine what your engine feels like when you're getting 50 miles to the gallon. You're feathering it, you might be doing 50, 55 miles an hour. It's quite easy, there's no rush, there's no stress. The system is starting to relax a little bit, right? And then you go down a couple of cogs in the gears, you go, 6, 5, 4, 3, boom, bam, turbo's blaring, you're away out and you're overtaking somebody, right? And you look down at the MFA meter and it's feedbacking to you that you're getting 10 miles to the gallon. How does the body feel when you're getting 10 miles a gallon? It's all ramped up, you're speeding home, you're late from home, right? So there's a small example. So let me go back to the message that I received on Facebook. So I saw this message, I saw it pop in from someone that I haven't seen for a long time, and there is no relationship there at all. So I'm guessing, what could it be about? Okay, so I see it, I feel 3 fingers up from the belly button, that electrical charge going off in my system, in my nervous system. I feel my nervous system shut down, and depending to the extremity of my reaction to it, it would feel maybe like hot prickly heat going over my body, and I would close down. Now, if in that moment I wasn't being, I nearly said intellectually aware, that sounds a wee bit superior, but if I wasn't being aware, there has to be a logical component, I guess, to that. Anyway, I'll think about that later on. So, if I had just went straight to it, if the feeling, the chemicals, the drugs, if you like, that were going through my system actually just took over my body like I was being possessed, and I opened that message, right? And then I continued to communicate with that message from a place of reaction. My question I'm going to ask you is, how do you think the communication is going to go? Is it going to be conducive or non-conducive? So I left it, but I noticed, like an addict, if you like, looking for a fix, I noticed that it kept calling on me from the distances. It started to come in to my thoughts, it started to have some space in my mind. And I just noticed that, and I just noticed it. And then there was a day where I hadn't thought about it, and I noticed that I had to bring it into me. Oh, look at that little frog. Oh, a wee frog, Ralph. See it? Oh, right. Sorry, get distracted. And it's not because I'm ADHD. I had a wonderful message. I had a different message, which I'll go into, from somebody that has been sending me lovely messages and giving me support. And they said, you're not ADHD, it's just another label you have. And it is. I was just kind of using that because I do that sometimes. That's one of my negative traits. But anyway, completely lost track. So I noticed this message, this email was calling on me from a distance like an addict, that I had to get in about it. Because I was craving, I was wanting to get fed, I was looking for something. Anyway, the days go past and I'm meditating and I'm walking and I just completely forgot all about it. And then I was sitting doing some work on the computer yesterday and I saw it and I went, do I want to open this message? I have a choice. Do I want to open this message? I did open the message. And I was completely and utterly indifferent about it. So, because I was indifferent about it and I wasn't feeling reactionary, I had a choice in that moment. Do I respond or not? And I chose not to. So, what's this got to do with fear of change? Well, as we get older, when we're young, we have such a zest for life. Life is continually changing. That we cannot escape from. It's continually moving and changing, and we go through seasons and the leaves fall off and the leaves come back on. And for me, you breathe. You have a breath in, you have a breath out. And the example that I give in my work is the tide comes in and the tide goes out. Okay, so the tide comes in and the tide goes out. Now, depending what meaning you have placed on the tide being in, is that good times? Is that when things are rolling, when you're making money, when you're earning, when you're in flow, when your relationships are good and you're grooving along? Or is it the opposite? Is it when the tide is out, everything's good, everything's funky, you're feeling fine, you're feeling fantastic, everything's going well, but when the tide is in, could that be the opposite? Could that be when you're feeling constricted and you're feeling tight? There's a little mouse ran out in front of me there, just at the rocks. Does that make you feel tight? Does that make you feel closed down? Right? So whatever it is. But naturally, if you look at children, one minute they're happy, the next minute they're really upset. The next minute they're laughing and joking, and it's like this pendulum, it just moves away. Okay, so tide coming in, the tide going out. It doesn't get caught up on whether it's in or whether it's out. It just flows in and flows out. So, what I find that we do as humans is we're going along pretty much just base level, and then things start to get good, right? Two things happen. We fear it being good, okay, because it's new, because it's change, right? Or we latch onto it and we become greedy, right? And we want to hold on to that experience. We want to own it. It's not going to work, right? So then, because naturally things can't always be rolling good, okay? You can learn to make those experiences be more of a constant in your life, but for the most of us at the beginning of this journey, that's not the way that's not the way it works, okay? So then things start to go, shall we say, negative, bad, right? And what we do is we fall down that hole, we start moaning and we start complaining, right? And moaning and complaining is just quite simply a place where we give our power away, where we give ourselves away. So we start moaning and we start complaining about it. And then before you know it, the biochemical association, the drugs, if you like, that we get dished out, right, for that mindset, we get hooked on. So before you know it, what we're doing is, rather than just being a pendulum, just like as waves come in, waves go out, waves come in, waves go out. We start to go, waves come in, yes, let's hold on to this, party. Can't have that all the time. And then it crashes back the way, so we have a big crash. And then we're like, oh no, and then we start moaning and complaining, and then we get into that pattern of behaviour for a while, and then it's like, right, Monday I'll start my diet. Or Monday I'm going to start thinking better. Or Monday I'm going to get back into my gratitude journal. Or Monday I'm going to start goal setting again. Or Monday I'm going to start doing this, right? And then it's a real slog to get back up, and then we start getting into exercise, we start to feel slightly better, we start eating better, we start having better quality relationships. So really what we're doing is we're springboarding like this, back and forward, instead of it being a nice transient movement between the two. So, fear of change. Are we reacting or are we responding to our environment? Choice is yours. And now, I don't know if I'll leave that for tomorrow. Man, look at that sun. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Aren't we so lucky? I don't know if you can hear those birds. I can actually, at the moment, as those swans are coming in, I can hear the noise they're making as they're coming in. It's wonderful. What a beautiful, beautiful place. Now, fear of change and the coronavirus and the world as it was. So, when we're children, we're constantly moving and developing. Okay, we don't give question to it. But then we start to get older and we conform to comfort. We start to create little comfort cocoons, and we get in our comfort zone, right? A bit of a coachy kind of new agey type word, well, comfort zone. What does that actually mean? It just means we're complacent, right? We're complacent. If we're not changing, we're dying. If we're not changing, we're not living. Now, fear. Is it fear or is it excitement? You know, the brain has a very difficult job discerning between what is fear and what is excitement. Right, so it's ask yourself, is this fear or is this excitement that I'm feeling? Now, the world as we've known it, with the systems that we have, the bankers, the politicians, the lies, the unhappiness, you know, we have got a pandemic of drug use in our culture. Scotland, up until, don't quote me on this, it's maybe about 18 months ago now, maybe a year ago, don't quote me on it. Scotland was the cocaine capital of the world. There were more people using cocaine in Scotland per head of population than they were in Bolivia. Okay? It's now, as I believe, it's Albania that's took it over. We've got a pandemic of drug use in our culture. Not only that, we've got a pandemic of mental health issues. We have got a pandemic of anxiety. In my last position, the last contract I had, which was working with school kids, and the issue was predominantly anxiety, they were secondary school children. I had an 11-year-old on antidepressants. I had an 11-year-old that had tried to commit suicide. True. So, rather than looking like what our Western medicine does, which is pretty much treats the symptom, why aren't we treating the cause? What is the cause? What is the cause of this anxiety? What is the cause of these fears of this drug use? Drug use is just a painkiller. I'm not, you know, it's a survival mechanism. Drug use, alcohol use, it's the way that the body, if it's in an internal pain at our soul level, the body has an innate ability to be able to reach out into its environment and grab whatever medication it can which will soothe it, from sugar to sex to gambling to drugs to zoning out in front of the TV to exercise to whatever, anger. So we have in our hands the capacity to create a new earth, to create a new way of being, if only in our communities. What are we going to do about that as individuals? What can we do about that? Well, what we've got to do is we've got to first change, because the way that things were, the way that things are, I don't know in your country, but for here, they're not working. We as a species of people are not working. Food banks. We shouldn't be using food banks, but we are. We're a first world country with third world problems that aren't getting addressed. So, I could keep talking for absolute hours and hours and hours, because I'm just a wee blether and I love it. Now, I'll do more tomorrow, but that's me done once round the loch, so I'm gauging that as my time to close it off. But again, have a great week, have a fantastic Monday, lockdown or not lockdown. Enjoy where you're at, enjoy who you're with, and enjoy what you're doing. Sending you blessings. Thank you for tuning in, thank you for watching, hope it's made sense. Take care, bye bye.